welcome to our podcast today on Small Business Horsepower. Small Business Horsepower podcast, you can find it wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Tumblr, you name it. And today, we're so pleased to have Howard and Steve Silverstein on the program. They're with a company called Arthur Edison. They're going to explain how that name came about and a lot more. I think you're going to be really fascinated with these guys because I was watching one of their podcasts they did yesterday. I was watching it in preparation, and they were at a boat show and talking about this product. And I took their YouTube and I sent it to a friend of mine because that guy has taken me fishing when he had a boat out here for years. And I said, has this been a problem for you guys in terms of fuel leaking all over the place? And he said, wow, this is a great invention. I mean, this is coming from boat owners who have faced this problem. So anyway, let's get right to it. I think you'll be interested. Howard and Steve, welcome to the podcast today on Small Business Horsepower.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Well, Howard, as we were waiting for Steve, I understand you're the engineering guy. He's the sales guy. That's why you were saying he couldn't find probably where the link was. You know us sales guys, we don't find anything. You engineering guys have every little document saved for your whole life. You give us a background, Howard. You were starting to give us your background. Let's hear your background first and how we're here today.
Sure. I spent most of my career in the point-of-purchase industry, and what that means is basically figuring out what companies needed to do in the marketplace to show their products off in the most favorable light in stores for people to purchase in point of sale. And I've been for most of my career on the estimating and in the engineering side of that process. I've also run, facilities. I've run factories. During COVID, I made 2.7 million face shields for first responders, all kinds of stuff, all very fast turnaround, very high pressure types of jobs. So here I am all of these years later. I don't want to get into the whole story. Stephen will tell it better than I will. But Stephen and I went on an outing, and because of that background and being able to look at things and see a solution, and one of the things that I was, I guess, pretty good at is finding the most simple method to do something, because you don't want to create a fix that's more complicated than the problem you were trying to solve. So I'll leave it there and let Stephen tell you about the rest of that day.
Oh my God, my side of it. Okay. Well, I've been an avid boater since I was a little kid, and I used to be a sailboater, and the way I would stop the boat is just to ram it into the dock, and I would be back. So that's how long I've been boating for. I became a power boater a number of years back, and fueling my boat, like everyone else, is always an issue. I've been very fortunate enough to have motored boats from the East Coast to northern East Coast, down into the Keys, back around and all up and down the coast. And I've fueled everywhere, in every situation, in every type of place. And it's always been, when you fuel your boat, you got to be very careful. Putting the fuel into the boat is not easy. It's the boater's responsibility and not a gas station attendant. There are no such things on the water. So what happens here is that I'm filling up my boat every year. Every year is the same story. And you have to use a series of tricks. Some people listen. Some people wait to hear a whistle. Some people hold rags on when they're filling, and when it pops, and then it pops up all over the place with the fuel coming out, they know they're full. Some people don't fill up their boats because they're concerned. So it's been an issue. Well, I'm the type of guy that when I fuel my boat up, I used oil soak rags, which are fuel deterrents from spilling, wrapping them around and filling very slow and trying to make sure that I was filled without spilling. And that's really how filling your boat goes. So I bring people out on my boat, and the one thing us boaters do is if you're inviting people to go out on your boat, you make sure everything's ready for them. You fill up the fuel, you bring ice, you get water, everything's ready to go. And I never have people come on the boat normally that things are not ready so we could just leave. Well, here we go. One day, my brother and his wife come down to the boat, and they're going to be going out for the day with us on our one of our boats. So today I needed fuel. Go figure why. It might have been some sort of intervention that made this happen, but the series of events now took place. We bring the boat over to the fuel dock. My brother's with me, my wife, and his wife. We bring the boat over. We're going to be fueling. My wife is sitting at the helm looking at the gauges to tell me what percentage the fuel rate, is at in the tank so that I can make sure that I slow down and I'm very careful because I'm environmentally aware. My brother standing on the dock next to me, kind of puzzled on what this whole process is because this is new to him. He's not a boater, except for on my boat. So I have a rag wrapped around the nozzle. I'm filling slow. I'm calling out to my wife, what's the percentage at? She's talking to my sister-in-law. She's looking out the window, and I have to ask multiple times. And we don't yell. I mean, it's not really a yelling thing, but it may look like that to some people, but it's not. It's a communicative thing that we do because we're talking back and forth, but it's stressful. And my brother's looking at me saying, what the hell, just thinking this. And then he says, well, what's wrong? I said, well, just filling a boat. He goes, yeah, but what's wrong? I was like, well, I don't know. This is what you do. And then I'm going. And when it was finally topped off, I got it. And then a little bit of fuel spilled, right? Because I got the rag and I just wipe it up. And then we get a little water on there to try and clean off. And he goes, I don't understand what's going on. I said, this is how it is when you fill a boat. He goes, no, that can't be. So he says, oh, let me look. So he takes a nozzle in his hand. He's looking at the nozzle. Then he looks at the place that we're filling the boat, which is the fill port with the cap off. He looks at the nozzle, looks at the fill port. He looked me dead in the eye, and I'll never forget this. And he looked me dead in the eye, and he says, we can fix this. I said to myself, he's crazy. This guy's crazy. And I said to him out loud, how would we ever fix this? This is just how it is. Well, my brother is pretty damn smart where he sees something and he understands how to fix it, even if, he can't do it at that moment. He's got the idea in his head. Okay, that's fine. We cap the boat, we get going, and we have a lovely day out, and we're discussing this. And he says, I have it in my head. I said, what do you have in your head? He said, I have the whole thing in my head. I know how to do this. So that's where we started with. And now he drew it out, and I do CAD engineering for fire alarm systems. So he said, okay, I drew it out. Here's the dimensions. Draw this in CAD because he doesn't do CAD. He just drew it. And he's like, make it an angle of whatever the degree was and make it this long. And it was perfect. It lined up perfect. And at that moment there, we had the clicks on paper or in model space at that point, we call it. And then now it's Howard's ball because I toss it back into the ring.
Well, let me ask a question. Let me ask a couple of questions. That's a great story for our listeners. Very exciting. Product invented right where there was a need, right out in the water, basically. But, you're thinking about it. I was listening to the other show you did on the boating thing. One of the concerns is, does this thing float? Well, no, you don't want it to float because you want it to be environmentally friendly. You want it to go down to the ocean. But then if it's going to be environmentally friendly, then the next question becomes, how is it fuel resistant, right? Because I'm in the aerospace industry. I've sold materials to the aircraft and aerospace industry my whole life. And we want things that resist skydraw, this, that. They're fuel resistant, but they're also tough things. You got stuff like silicone involved or fluoropolymer. You got all kinds of stuff that is pretty nasty. It leaves PFAS, it leaves forever chemicals in the ground because it resists fuel and so on. So I'm thinking about this going, how do we come up with something that, works with diesel, works with gas, works with fuel, but yet is environmentally friendly? So that's one of my interests, Howard, how you address that.
I have a lot of contacts in industry, and what I did was I reached out to a company which specialized in the materials for the petrochemical industry. And I specifically said to them, I need a material where I can have something which is resistant to diesel and gasoline. It's a little different, obviously. And I need it to be able to be made so that it is biodegradable. The material that we came up with, it's a custom blend for our specifications. It is a TPE material that has a biodegradable additive put into that TPE, along with obviously our colorant that we use, the red and the green for diesel and for gas. And what it's doing is it allows the material to be broken down over the course of 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, that's great. So that it doesn't have a lasting negative environmental impact on the ocean. Well, that's great about this product. Hey, let me ask you something on the sales side, Steve. Is there more products in the pipeline, or this company is going to stick with this one product? I'm just curious about that for our listeners on Small Business Horsepower, because small business people, they invent one product, it's great, it goes, but are you guys going to put another log on the fire here?
The funny thing is that you said anything down the pipeline, which is kind of like a funny term because we're filling tanks with fuel. We actually have a lot of ideas, and we have a couple of other provisional patents going. But what we have is ideas that need to be hatched, but we are interested in making sure that we put all our efforts into the Clicks product to make it successful and be able to have other people reap the benefits of having this product before we start entering into other products and starting to expand. But yes, the answer is yes in a simple way.
Well, how do you go to market with these products? Because I look at this and you say, well, you can go a number of directions, right? You can have an outside sales force. Although, how would you want an outside sales force for one product? You can do it online. You can do it through Amazon. You can do it through third parties like that. You can do it retail through stores, but then you have to have someone who calls on all the stores, or you can do it through a wholesaler. What's the way that Clicks reaches market, and how did you guys decide how you are going to bring it to market on the business side of it?
Well, I'll start it and then you can pick it up from there. What we decided was we were ready, or just about ready, to launch our product. We went, or I should say Stephen, went into a store and bumped into a gentleman who was a distributor and was speaking to him about it. And the guy said, you need to go to IBEX, that you will get a lot of PR if you go to IBEX, show your product around. So we thought that was a great way.
What's IBEX? Excuse me?
IBEX is the International Boat Builders Expo. So we reached out to IBEX and they were like, sorry, we're full. And we reached out again. Nope, sorry, we're full. Then we reached out and told them our story and told them about what was happening and how we came to be and why we were doing what we were doing. And then all of a sudden we were able to get a booth. So we go to IBEX. Once we were on our way, we found out that there was such a thing as an IBEX Innovation Award, which we were unaware of. So we said, you know what? It's a great way to get good PR. We'll put ourselves into the Innovation Award. They publicize the people that are going to be going for the award. So we'll get a little additional PR that way. So we go to IBEX and won the award. We beat out all of these big companies that were there that have been doing it for years. And we talk about being very happily surprised. So that allowed us the ability to parlay that into a lot of good PR right after the IBEX show. And that's kind of how we started our process of getting the word out there about us. And it's a great story, which I love telling, which is why I jumped in. And I think now, Stephen, I'll throw it over to you.
All right. So Howard actually was the driving force to get in touch with them after I spoke to a distributor of a very large distributor called Kellogg. They're owned by Brunswick. So they're very well known, and he told us you need to bring this to IBEX, and we had no idea. But to fast forward on that, Howard contacted them through email and crickets, and contacted, and then he told them what we have and who we were and what we're doing, and they basically told him that you should have gotten in contact with us a year ago because we're booked. Well, I don't know how Howard did it, but when they basically learned what it is that we were doing and what we had, all of a sudden they contacted, or they somehow contacted Howard and said, "We have a booth for you." And not only did they have a booth, but they have an excellent booth in a great place. Very surprising. When we went down there, yes, we did register for the award dinner where we were competing with 700 other companies. 700 companies. And we went down there, and Howard said, "I feel good about this." And I said, "How could you feel good about this? We're up against Volvo Penta. We're up against Mercury, Yamaha, all these huge companies that have, I mean, I don't even know how much their resources, how deep their pockets are, and all these other very innovative companies that have very complex things. And here we are with a piece of TTP molded product that is brand new that nobody knows about. We went in there, we were nobodies. Nobody knew who we were. Nobody. And we signed up for the breakfast to kick off the event. And we're sitting in a room with 900 people. 900 people that were there for the event kickoff. And we were happy just to be there. And I said, "There's no way that we're going to win this." Let me backtrack, actually. The judges came to every booth and actually spoke to the people. So there were, I think, 70 companies or something. I forget how many they interviewed that they picked out of the bunch of people, but they interviewed everybody. Then when we went for the dinner, for the breakfast, I told Howard, "There's no way we can do this." He goes, "No, I think we might be able to win this." I said, "There's no way. This is like impossible." We were up against a beast that we couldn't win. And I really believe that. And the second company to be called was us. And there were 900 people standing, clapping, cheering us on. And that's a pretty good feeling. I've never been in that situation.
Well, let me ask you this then. After you won the award, how did you decide then how you would, did you appoint distribution, or did you start to sell it online after the marketing, or what was the way that you went to market with it after the show?
Just basically with the marketing end of it, IBEX, when they do that, once you win an award, you become part of their IBEX 360. And they started doing marketing, mentioning us in January. And what we did was we started producing, really, Stephen, because he's the guy who does this. I'm useless in this area, but Stephen was making all of these videos and getting photographs and doing things. We were posting the videos on YouTube. We were getting tens of thousands of hits on YouTube. It was driving people to the website. So all of that stuff was starting to work. Then we reached out to a whole ton of different magazines and other people to say, "Hey, here we are. Here's our press release. We want IBEX." And so that started to show up in various places, also on the internet. So we started to get all of that, that public relations coming in. Also, while we were at IBEX, we met a young man who is now our CMO, named Justin David. He is a marketing guy. And after a few months, we brought him in, and he's now one of the, what we call the Clicks family. So we have him working with us now. And we've been doing marketing now through him, and we've been showing up in all different kinds of places. And as a matter of fact, this podcast is thanks to Justin's work. So he's been very good at getting our name out there and getting the word out there. We also decided to set up an affiliate program and a partner program to go after different types of business. We have been going after the online retailers. We are currently in one online retailer, Boat Outfitters, and we are starting to work towards trying to get into some of the other ones. So I think I got your question.
Yeah, so you sell it through Outfitters. You sell it direct online as well on the web?
Yep. We also have, there's a couple of people that are out there. I wouldn't necessarily call them salesmen. They're more of affiliates, but they go out there and they go to marinas and they talk about our product with the ownership there. We set the marina up, and then the marina becomes a direct customer.
Oh, okay. So how long has the product been out on the market now?
Our official launch was in the beginning of October of last year, of 2024.
Oh, okay, so it's just fairly new. It's fairly new on the market. So you're just getting it launched and you're out there promoting the product, and which is great because Justin did reach out to us to come on the podcast to get the name out there even more. And, it's exciting for small businesses to take out. Let me ask you another question, which is, like when I owned a company, so I always like to ask this question because when I owned a company, there's two things I decided that I was never going to do. One is I wasn't going to have partners, and two, I wasn't going to do business with friends and family. Those were my two rules. So it probably slowed down my growth somewhat from the minute I started it in my parents' basement to when I sold my company to a French company. But I know a lot of people do work with family members and have partners. You've got both going on here. So how do you find that? Do you find that a challenge, or separating, your personal life and family life from this business?
I'll tell you, I'll answer that one. Our company is called Arthur Edison, okay? And it's Arthur because of our father. And without getting all emotional about it, my dad was quite an amazing person. I got part of my dad's skill set. Stephen got another part of my dad's skill set. We're very lucky. We balance each other out. We work extremely well together. We come up with ideas in tandem with each other. There's like no friction whatsoever between us. So it is a great partnership with Stephen and I. And with Justin and Greg Friedman, who is our other partner, we just actually have fun. We meet twice a week, and we actually just enjoy our time together. It is a great partnership.
Oh, I really like to hear that story because, you hear about so many stories that partnerships and family squabbles destroy the business, but it looks like you guys have used it to your advantage, going back to your father to get this thing going and make a great situation. So yeah, I think that's great. Well, we're listening to this. Where can people find you? People listening to our podcast, you want to give your website in a way that they can get this product?
The website is clicksfueling.com, CLIXFUELING.com. And you go there and you can find, the gas clicks and the diesel clicks. And as we mentioned before, we will be adding additional products over time, and they will be there as well. If you are interested, if somebody out there is interested in either becoming a partner for resale or an affiliate member, you can also do those things through the website. If you scroll down to the bottom, there are links for people to fill out the applications to either be affiliates or partners.
Well, I was just thinking of something before we go. So I don't expect you to tell me exactly, what products are coming out till they come out and they're developed, but are they going to be related to this type of product? Or are you guys thinking about doing something else in marine or something else? Like what's your vision of what's next?
We are a marine-based and focused company at this point. We have other items that are pretty much prototyped, ready to go, and we're really excited about having those launch, but our focus is to keep the clicks moving, because people like myself at the dock that moment when I was being told, no, we could fix this, and I was in disbelief. And when I talk to people and I tell them about our product, they said, well, how would that work? What do you mean? I never heard of this. You can't do that. Basically, it's an educational process to tell people that, yes, there is something that we can do to make this problem, to minimize the problem. You'll never eliminate all problems in the world, but if we can eliminate most of the issues, then we're going to change the world one boat at a time.
So you guys boating guys, but you guys fishing guys too, or what? Do you guys go fishing?
Yeah, I'm the fisherman. I fish all over the world when I've traveled. Stephen is the boater.
I actually fish when I go into the restaurant and I order my fish. Only in Miami, though, in Florida.
Yeah, but Stephen, you're out, but I'm more interested in Howard here because I like fishing. So I've never fished on Montauk and all that kind of stuff. So when I come out, because I live in San Diego, California now, but unfortunately, growing up in New Jersey, I made the biggest mistake of becoming a Jets fan, and I still have the tickets after 30 years out here. So I come there a few times a year to watch them lose. So when I come there to watch them lose, cruise. Howard, I expect you take me out, put the clicks in, and we'll go out on Montauk or somewhere, and you show me the good fishing out in Long Island, you know?
We'll have some fun. We'll have some fun, definitely.
Well, thank you guys for coming on the show. I really appreciate this. It's very interesting for our audience. I like to really mix our show up between having, marketing people that can help you do things around your product. But for me, the fun is having people on that actually make something and then turn it around, build a small business, and then you watch that go. And so I really appreciate it. And I want to wish you guys the best of luck going forward with the Clicks product. And thank you for coming on today's show.
Oh, thank you so much for having us.
One of the most important things is we have to tell you is clicks is the fix.
Clicks is the fix. You hear that from my audience? Great punchline. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.